Back to E39 world. Welcome to what feels like Monday. I wish it were Monday. It is Thursday and progress across the board today on a myriad of cars. So let's start with the jet black 01540IA. I don't remember where I left off, but the transmission's off. I guess they have a flywheel because it's got to rotate the starter motor's got to rotate the crankshaft, but it's got a new rear main seal in there. All torqued up, new hardware, looking pretty. We're ready to put the transmission back on. There's the automatic. Drained the torque converter out of transmission fluid earlier today, so it's going to be a full flush on the system. It's going to drain over here overnight in the thing. That's what a torque converter looks like, the good old-fashioned slush box. I think it's the 5 HP 20 or something like that for the 540. Last week, before we played hooky and went to Los Angeles and Palm Springs and Catalina Island and everywhere in between, we pulled the front bumper off and replaced the electric fan in there per customer request. The old one worked fine, but he wanted to do that now. So the bumper's going to be ready to go back on, and the transmission's got to go back on, and the drive shaft I think has been rebuilt, and that's going to go back in. Jeez, it's been a major project. This guy was delivered on our way to Palm Springs. This is going to be a restoration car, probably a video coming on this guy. I have not even spent any time with this to figure out exactly what it is. It's a carbon black E39 M5 with an M1SW interior that's been completely redone. You can see the dash has been redone. There's a bunch of stitch lines. This is just a shadow. That's not a crease, right? Yeah, it's a shadow. So different stitch lines slightly. He's probably going to need that trim. Looks like the door panels have been rewrapped. We've got room for improvement here, room for improvement here. Door sills need attention. This, oh, it's a 2000. It's an 1199 car, pretty early M5. It's locked. It's got wood trim. Why is the nav screen on? Why the hell's the nav screen on? That's bizarre. Did it wake up when I opened the door? Something like that. Alcantara, that was optional. A-pillar's got room for improvement. Here's what's fun though. I guess that one. If it's not lying to us, this car only has 51,000 miles on it, so it's a prime restoration candidate car. Have not looked under the hood yet, have not looked in the trunk yet. I don't think it really has any options. It's got, oh it does, it's got parking sensors. It's been outside a little bit, so we've protected things. There's cardboard in there, the glass does not look like that. No foldy seats. I don't know. We're gonna start with an MPI, present that to him, see what he wants to do. It's gonna need a hell of a bath. It arrived here this dirty. I think it came from St. Louis area. It looks like it's all here. So as I've said 6 times, prime candidate to get spruced up a little bit. I'm seeing new badges front and rear. Somebody already facelifted the headlights the right way actually, and the fog lights. Fog lights look aftermarket, probably Ziza. The Canadian car is about done. Rod bearings are done, been test driven. We got to figure out why the odometer, or why the cruise control is still in kilometers per hour. Our coders can't figure it out either. They're doing research. Then the owner's coming down next Tuesday, flying down from Washington to pick up the car, drive it around a whole bunch, enjoy Southern California in it for a couple days or a week, and then he'll drop it back off here. We'll schedule shipping to Washington, and he will have his car. Nate's car, we're really waiting on parts, and we want to get that black 540 out of here in the interim, finish up that project, and then dig back in here when we have more parts. The 25-year car, we got to figure out what's going on with the exhaust. I've spent the last few hours over here working on mine. So after I redid all the door vapor barriers, put in the BSW sound, replaced all of the shit that I wanted to replace, I got rid of the vast majority of my squeaks and rattles. But the biggest one, and it's not the rattle that bothers me, it's the idea that I didn't fix it and couldn't figure it out. I don't like to be defeated like that. Something in this door, when the car goes up or flexes, or if you laid out 50 broom handles and drove over them slowly, that's when it would make the majority of the noise. So removed the door panel and vapor barrier yet again today. Got to play with the butyl tape for 2 hours, got a perfect clean thing again. Checked every single regulator bolt. So there's a 10 mil down here, 10 mil here, behind the speaker. And when the glass is up, there's a bunch of Torx there. The window clip bolts that hold the glass into the regulator are tight. The ones through the access holes are tight. It's not the window regulator. The crash bar, which goes in like that, it's held over here with a Torx. That screw has never been touched before. It still has its original paint on it, and I don't want to flake that off. It's super tight. In the front, it's held on with rivets, which are up here, those rivets, and all of those are fine. No sign of corrosion, foul play, anything there. So I don't think that's the problem. All the clips for the speaker are good. I just put it all back together right now because I'm going to drive it tomorrow and see what the hell is making the noise. I replaced the door lock actuator today. Of course, after I do my major service and hope I'm buttoning it up for 10 years, then the next week I noticed the actuator starts to get a little bit slow. So I took all of this apart today, pulled out the thing, made sure everything in there is clean and tight. It is. I don't think the problem was in there, but removing it and putting it back in is good practice. There's some sort of like foamy insulation around here to keep metal on metal from happening. Some of that was missing, so I used a little bit of butyl, just a smear of butyl tape to act as a barrier. That should work fine. What I'm thinking my problem could be is up here. The lock rod goes through this hole in the door, and it's kind of a metallic sound that I have like this, but I'm thinking this should be held captive by the hole in the door panel. It shouldn't be allowed to move forward and backwards. It just moves up and down because it's in the hole in the door panel. But from factory, there's this little bit of old dried out foam that disintegrates when you touch it. So I fashioned my own out of the same material that I'm using here, because that all fell apart too. I already took the passenger door apart a few weeks ago now. Bought some foam, cut a piece to size, cut a hole for the tweeter, shoved it in there nice and tight. Doesn't show through here, doesn't stick out, doesn't prevent the trim from snapping into place nicely. So that should get rid of some wind noise that I noticed after my original one totally disintegrated. Same deal over here. So fashioned myself one out of foam. I am going to order some double-sided tape or figure out some sort of solution to affix that right here like this. And that's going to prevent the lock rod from touching the opening if I get that glued in there nice and tight. So I know it's a shot in the dark. It's a total prayer. I made another one here. I can cut that in half and have 2 more as prototypes. So if I find out that this works, then I can fix other people's cars. But honestly, I really don't know what else it can be here. There's not that much going on in the door. The door brake is tight. It really sounds like it's right here in this area. In fact, so much so that I have disassembled the B-pillar trim now twice, upper and lower, to get a look in there, and everything's flawless. I can't find anything wrong. I've never even had that off before. I've never done service in there. Everything is tight. I don't get it. So if this doesn't work, I am pretty serious about grabbing one of these donor doors from a different M5 and unbolting and unplugging mine, putting another one in there and driving it to see if that fixes the problem. If it does, do I paint that door Silverstone and move all the trim over? My God, I mean, it's just stupid. And I know that's silly, and then it's paint work, and then it doesn't match and all of that. But it's just dumb that I can't figure it out, and I'm taking it a little bit personally. All right, finally headed home, 10:49. That is a long Thursday. The only thing open in all of San Diego right now is In-N-Out. So that's what's going to be for dinner in about 14 minutes.